You lie still, letting the night stretch above you like a slow, breathing ocean. The stars are scattered gently, not demanding attention, just existing in their quiet places. You have seen this sky before, countless times, and yet tonight it feels different. Tonight, you are not simply looking up. You are listening. For most of human history, the sky is a painting. Fixed. Decorative. A ceiling of light beyond reach. The stars are points, clean and distant, and the darkness between them feels empty. You learn their names, trace their patterns, tell stories to make them familiar. But planets, worlds like your own, seem rare, precious, almost unlikely. Earth feels like a special accident, a lone island in a vast cosmic sea. As you breathe slowly, you allow yourself to imagine how little you once knew. Until very recently, no one can say for certain that planets even exist beyond your sun. The idea is comforting, but unproven. Other stars shine, yes, but whether they host worlds remains a matter of hope rather than evidence. The universe keeps its secrets close, and for a long time, it does not answer. This chapter begins in that silence. You feel how discovery does not always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives like a whisper, so soft that you almost miss it. Before the first exoplanet is found, there are decades of waiting, refining, doubting. Scientists argue, instruments improve, theories stretch and bend. The question hangs gently in the air: are there other worlds out there, or is Earth truly alone? You sense the patience required to ask that question properly. Space does not rush. Stars live for billions of years. Light takes its time crossing the dark. If you want to understand the universe, you must slow yourself to its pace. You must learn to notice changes so small they feel like imagination. As your body relaxes, you begin to feel the shift from seeing to sensing. Planets beyond the sun do not announce themselves. They do not glow brightly against the dark. They hide in the glare of their stars, wrapped in light far stronger than their own reflections. To find them, you cannot look directly. You must learn to notice what moves, what trembles, what subtly changes. The first confirmed discovery of an exoplanet does not come easily. When it finally happens, it is not around a star like your sun, but around something stranger, a pulsar, a dense, spinning remnant of a dead star. Even then, doubt lingers. Is this real? Is this reliable? The universe offers evidence cautiously, like testing whether you are ready to listen. And once you do hear it, once the idea settles into certainty, something changes forever. You feel it now, this moment of realization. The night sky is no longer a static ceiling. It becomes layered, deep, alive with hidden motion. Every star you see may have planets circling it, silent travelers moving through darkness, warmed by distant light. The thought spreads gently, not overwhelming, just quietly profound. Earth is no longer an exception. It is an example. You imagine ancient humans lying beneath similar skies, feeling wonder without answers. They sense meaning but lack tools. Now, you are here, suspended between curiosity and calm, holding centuries of questions in a single breath. The difference is not intelligence or ambition. It is listening. Science, you realize, is not loud. At its best, it is attentive. It notices patterns others overlook. It trusts repetition. It allows uncertainty to exist without panic. Exoplanet discovery is born from this mindset. No sudden revelation, no single moment of triumph, just a slow accumulation of whispers until the message becomes clear. You feel comfort in that. It means the universe does not require urgency. It does not demand belief. It simply invites awareness. As telescopes improve, as methods sharpen, planets begin to emerge not as miracles, but as expectations. Once you know how to listen, you cannot stop hearing them. One planet becomes many. Many become thousands. Each discovery reinforces the same quiet truth: worlds are common. The galaxy is generous. You let this idea settle into your chest. The vastness that once felt empty now feels populated, though still quiet. There is no crowding, no noise. Just presence. Countless worlds existing whether or not anyone notices them. And you notice something else too. Discovery changes the discoverer. When you learn that planets are everywhere, your sense of place shifts. Earth remains precious, but no longer lonely. The night sky becomes relational. Each star feels like a possibility rather than a distance. You rest with that thought, allowing it to soften you rather than excite you. This is not a story of conquest or arrival. It is a story of awareness. Of learning that the universe has always been more than it seemed, and that you are finally learning how to listen properly. Your breathing slows further. The stars above you remain unchanged to the eye, but your understanding has deepened. Somewhere out there, planets move silently, indifferent to observation, patient beyond measure. They do not need you to exist. And yet, somehow, their existence feels like a gift. The sky, once decorative, has learned to whisper. And now that you know how to listen, you sense that these whispers are only the beginning. Somewhere in the subtle movements of starlight, something is shifting, something so gentle it can only be felt, not seen, as distant suns begin to sway almost imperceptibly, hinting at unseen companions moving them in slow, graceful dances. You remain beneath the night sky, but now the stillness feels different. What once seemed fixed begins to soften, as if the stars themselves are breathing. You imagine them not as pin lights, but as living bodies, each carrying weight, each responding to gentle pulls you cannot see. Nothing in the universe is ever truly motionless. Even rest contains movement. You let this idea settle slowly, like a calm tide. Stars, despite their brilliance, are not immune to companionship. They do not sit alone at the center of empty space. They are touched, tugged, influenced by the presence of planets that circle them faithfully. These planets may be dark, silent, and distant, but their gravity speaks continuously. You feel how gravity, here, is not dramatic. It does not crash or collide. It leans. It nudges. It invites. A planet does not simply orbit a star, the star responds in return. Together, they circle a shared center, a balance point hidden between them. The motion is small, almost shy, but it is honest. This is how you begin to find worlds you cannot see. You imagine watching a distant star through a telescope night after night. At first, it seems steady, predictable, dependable. But with patience, something strange appears. The star shifts slightly toward you, then away, then back again. The movement is rhythmic, repeating, never random. It is as if the star is gently rocking, lulled by an unseen partner. This rocking is not illusion. It is evidence. You learn to hear this movement through light itself. As the star moves toward you, its light compresses ever so slightly, becoming bluer. As it moves away, the light stretches, reddening just a bit. The change is tiny, far too small for human senses alone, but instruments can feel it. The universe leaves clues in color. You sense how extraordinary this is. You are not seeing the planet. You are feeling its influence across unimaginable distance. The planet never appears in the telescope's view, yet its presence is undeniable. Like a person behind a curtain, it reveals itself through motion rather than form. This method of discovery teaches patience. The wobble takes time to reveal itself. A planet may need months or years to complete its orbit. Scientists must wait, measure, repeat, and trust the pattern. One data point means nothing. Consistency is everything. As you breathe, you feel the comfort in repetition. The star sways again. And again. The rhythm holds. Something is there. You realize that many of the first discovered exoplanets are surprising. Massive worlds, much larger than Earth, orbiting extremely close to their stars. They pull hard, creating wobbles easier to detect. These planets are nothing like the ones you know. They are hot, swollen, fast-moving. They challenge expectation. But they also prove a deeper truth. Planetary systems come in many forms. The solar system you call home is not a universal template. It is one arrangement among countless others. The universe enjoys variety. You feel how this understanding expands gently, without urgency. Discovery is not about finding familiarity. It is about recognizing possibility. As instruments grow more sensitive, the wobbles become smaller, subtler. Earth-sized planets begin to announce themselves in whispers rather than sways. The challenge increases. The listening must become more refined. Precision replaces strength. You imagine scientists hunched over quiet data streams, watching lines rise and fall by fractions. No dramatic visuals. No explosions of color. Just careful attention stretched over years. This is what it takes to hear the universe speak softly. You rest in that idea. That meaningful truths often arrive quietly. That the most profound discoveries do not shout. Gravity, you realize, is a relationship. It connects bodies across emptiness, binding them into shared motion. A star and its planet are never separate stories. They write each other into existence through their dance. Even from light years away, that relationship can be felt. You feel smaller, but not diminished. Connected, not lost. The gentle wobble of distant suns tells you that planets are not rare. They are common companions. Almost every star you see likely moves this way, pulled by one world or many. The galaxy is full of dances you cannot see directly, but whose rhythms echo everywhere. As your thoughts slow, you imagine one particular system. A star much like the sun, glowing steadily. Around it, a planet moves in patient circles. Perhaps its surface is rocky. Perhaps clouds drift through its skies. Perhaps nothing stirs at all. You do not know. The wobble only tells you that it exists. And existence, for now, is enough. You sense how this method of discovery feels intimate. It does not rely on light reflected or blocked. It relies on trust that motion reveals truth, that influence leaves traces, that presence can be known without appearance. It is a quiet kind of knowing. Your breathing deepens. The night sky above you no longer feels distant. It feels active, responsive, alive with motion beneath the surface. Stars sway. Planets pull. Gravity hums softly through the dark. Yet even this method has limits. The wobble tells you a planet's mass, its orbit, its closeness. But it does not show you its shape. It does not reveal its atmosphere. It does not show you its surface or its skies. You know a world is there, but you cannot yet imagine standing upon it. That curiosity lingers gently, unresolved. You feel yourself drifting toward another way of listening. Not through motion, but through absence. Not through color shifts, but through shadows. Somewhere ahead, a planet will pass directly between its star and your gaze, dimming the light just enough to be noticed. And as you settle deeper into rest, you sense that the next whisper from the universe will arrive not as a movement, but as a brief, delicate fading like a breath passing in front of a distant flame. You stay with the stars, but now your attention sharpens in a different way. Instead of watching for motion, you listen for absence. The night sky teaches you that not all messages arrive as additions. Some arrive as small removals, moments when something familiar briefly changes, then returns, as if nothing happened at all. You imagine a distant star shining steadily, pouring its light outward in every direction. That light travels for years, sometimes centuries, moving without intention, without pause. It expects nothing. And then, for a brief moment, something passes in front of it. The star dims. Not enough for the eye to notice. Not enough to alarm. Just enough to matter. This is how shadows become evidence. You feel how delicate this method of discovery is. A planet crosses directly between its star and your line of sight, creating a tiny eclipse. The event is called a transit, but the word feels too sharp for something so gentle. The shadow is soft, rounded, almost apologetic. It does not block the light completely. It merely interrupts it, like a slow blink. You breathe steadily as you imagine the precision required. The planet must be aligned perfectly. Its orbit must tilt just right. Most planets will never pass this way from your perspective. Their shadows fall elsewhere, unseen. But some do, and when they do, the universe offers you a gift. The star dims again. And again. Regularly. Predictably. You realize that repetition is trust. One dip in brightness could be noise, coincidence, error. But when the dimming repeats at exact intervals, the message becomes clear. Something is circling that star. Something solid. Something real. You rest in the idea that light remembers. It carries records of every interruption it encounters. Telescopes become listeners, not to sound, but to brightness. They watch patiently, measuring starlight so carefully that even a loss of 1% becomes meaningful. You imagine sitting quietly beside such an instrument, night after night. No rush. No drama. just watching a line of data gently dip, then rise, then dip again months later. Each dip identical. Each one a confirmation. This shadow tells you more than presence. It tells you size. The deeper the dimming, the larger the planet. A giant world creates a noticeable pause in the star's shine. A small, Earth-sized planet barely whispers its way through, dimming the light by a fraction of a fraction. Finding such a planet requires patience refined into devotion. You feel respect for this quiet effort. This is science practiced as meditation. Attention sustained across years. Faith placed in subtlety. As you relax, you imagine the moment of transit itself. On the planet, if there were eyes to see, the star would appear slightly different. Perhaps a tiny dot crosses its surface. Perhaps nothing feels unusual at all. Meanwhile, far away, across space, you notice the light falter. Two perspectives connected by shadow. This thought lingers with you. That a planet can reveal itself without knowing it is being observed. That its simple act of orbiting becomes a message sent across the galaxy. You sense how powerful this method becomes when scaled. Thousands of stars observed at once. Continuous watching. Automated patience. This is how missions like Kepler and TESS listen to the sky, not by staring deeply at one place, but by watching many places quietly, waiting for shadows to pass. And they do. Again and again. You feel the comfort in numbers. Planet after planet reveals itself through these fleeting eclipses. Some are massive and close, transiting often. Others are small and distant, offering only a few chances over many years. Each detection feels like catching a falling leaf without disturbing the air. The universe, you realize, does not hide its planets. It simply does not announce them loudly. You must be willing to watch for interruptions rather than events. Your breathing slows further as you consider what these shadows do not yet tell you. You learn a planet's size, its orbital period, its distance from its star. You can infer its temperature. You can guess whether it might be rocky or gaseous. But its surface remains imagined. Its skies remain unknown. Still, something deeper stirs. Because during a transit, a small portion of the starlight passes through the planet's atmosphere before reaching you. The shadow is not perfectly dark. It is softened, filtered. The planet's air leaves its faint mark on the light, like breath fogging glass for a moment. You feel anticipation in that thought. A shadow that does more than hide. A shadow that carries information. For now, though, you rest with the simplicity of the method. A planet crosses. Light dims. The star resumes shining as before. The universe continues without ceremony. You think about how easily this could be missed. How many shadows pass unnoticed because no one is watching? And how extraordinary it is that you are alive in a time when humans have learned to notice. The night sky feels closer now. More intimate. Each star becomes a potential stage for these quiet performances. Each dip and light a reminder that motion is everywhere, even when silence dominates. You feel yourself drifting gently, carried by the rhythm of orbit and return. Planets move. Stars shine. Shadows pass like breaths, soft, brief, essential. And as your mind relaxes further, a new curiosity forms. If a planet's shadow can tell you its size, perhaps its filtered light can tell you more. Perhaps, hidden within that dimming, there are colors you have not yet learned to read. You rest with that unfinished thought, knowing that the next whisper from the universe will arrive not through darkness alone, but through light that has traveled through alien skies, carrying the faint fingerprints of distant air. You remain with the shadow, but now you move closer to its edges. You notice that it is never perfectly dark. Even when a planet passes in front of its star, some light still finds a way through. It slips around the planet's curve, threads through layers of unseen air, and continues its long journey across space toward you. This light has been changed. You let that idea settle gently. Light is not only brightness. It is information. It carries memory. As it travels, it collects traces of everything it touches, like a traveler returning home with dust on their shoes and scents clinging to their clothes. When starlight passes through a planet's atmosphere, it does not emerge the same. You breathe slowly as you imagine this passage. The planet's air wraps around it thin or thick, calm or turbulent. Atoms and molecules wait there, drifting without urgency. Some of them absorb very specific colors of light. Others allow different colors to pass freely. The result is subtle, but it is precise. A pattern forms, invisible to the eye but clear to those who know how to listen. This is how you begin to read atmospheres from impossibly far away. You feel how remarkable this is. You do not touch the planet. You do not sample its air. You do not send anything there at all. You simply wait for light to arrive and pay close attention to what is missing. The absent colors tell you what was absorbed. The gaps in the rainbow become words. Each molecule leaves a signature. Water vapor softens certain wavelengths. Carbon dioxide removes others. Oxygen, methane, sodium, each one shapes light in its own quiet way. The atmosphere becomes a filter, and the starlight becomes a message. You imagine a beam of light beginning its journey at the surface of a distant star. It is born hot and bright, filled with every color. It rushes outward, meets a planet, slips through its skies, and changes slightly. Then it travels on, crossing years of darkness, until finally it reaches a telescope on or near Earth. And there, you are waiting. You sense how delicate this reading must be. The atmospheric signal is tiny, buried beneath the star's overwhelming brightness. It requires instruments of extraordinary sensitivity and minds trained to recognize patterns hidden within noise. This is not guessing. This is careful decoding. You feel comfort in the patience of it all. Scientists collect light over many transits, stacking signals gently, letting clarity emerge slowly. Nothing is rushed. The universe does not respond to impatience. As you relax further, you realize that atmospheres are not just chemistry. They are history. They are the accumulated result of volcanic breaths, surface reactions, sunlight, gravity, and time. An atmosphere tells you how a planet lives with its star. It tells you whether it holds heat or lets it escape. It hints at oceans, clouds, winds. It even hints at life. You feel a quiet thrill at that thought, though it remains soft and restrained. Life, here, is not imagined as creatures or forests or voices. It is imagined as imbalance, as persistence, as chemistry refusing to settle into silence. On Earth, life reshapes the atmosphere constantly. Plants exhale oxygen. Microbes release methane. These gases coexist in a way that should not last without continual renewal. Life keeps the air restless. It keeps the sky slightly out of equilibrium. You imagine detecting something similar elsewhere. Not a signal that shouts life, but one that gently asks a question. Why is this gas here? Why does it remain? What process keeps it returning? You feel the humility in this approach. Scientists do not declare life. They look for hints that something might be happening. They look for stories that chemistry alone struggles to explain. As your breathing deepens, you consider how challenging this work remains. Many atmospheres are thick with clouds that hide deeper layers. Some planets are too hot, their air stripped away or boiling into space. Others are cold and still, holding thin veils of gas that reveal little. And yet, progress continues. New telescopes rise above Earth's blurring air or drift silently through space, freed from atmospheric distortion. They see in infrared, where molecules speak more clearly. They separate starlight with exquisite precision, spreading it into fine threads of color and shadow. You imagine these instruments not as machines, but as listeners with new senses. They do not replace human curiosity. They extend it. You feel how reading atmospheres changes your relationship with distance. Light years no longer feel like barriers. They feel like delays. The message will arrive eventually if you are patient enough to wait. You rest in the idea that every atmosphere is a kind of autobiography. A record written in gas and light. Even lifeless planets have stories to tell of formation, erosion, loss, and change. Nothing exists without leaving traces. As you drift deeper into calm, you picture a planet whose atmosphere shows water vapor. The signal is faint, tentative, but present. You do not know if water pools on its surface or drifts endlessly as steam. You only know that the ingredients for gentleness might exist there. This knowledge does not demand excitement. It invites contemplation. You feel how science, at this stage, becomes an act of restraint. It resists the urge to imagine too much. It stays with what the light truly says, no more and no less. This discipline is part of its beauty. Still, the question lingers, warm and unresolved. If you can read atmospheres, perhaps you can learn which planets feel comfortable. Which ones are too harsh? Which ones might allow complexity to persist? You begin to sense that not all planets need to resemble Earth to be interesting. Some may host chemistry unfamiliar, climates extreme, balances strange yet stable. Habitability, you realize, may not be narrow. It may be flexible, patient, forgiving. This thought eases into you like a soft realization rather than a conclusion. The light continues to arrive. It always will. Each photon carries a whisper from a distant sky, altered ever so slightly by the air it passed through. You are learning to hear those whispers now, to recognize breath in the patterns of absence. As your mind quiets, you feel yourself approaching a new idea. Atmospheres tell you what is present. Distance tells you where a planet sits. Temperature begins to matter. Comfort begins to matter. You drift now into a quieter region of thought, where extremes soften and balance begins to matter. After motion and shadows and light-filtered breath, your attention turns to distance. Not distance as separation, but distance as relationship. How far a planet sits from its star, and how that space shapes everything it becomes. You imagine warmth spreading outward from a star, thinning as it travels. Close in, the heat is relentless. Rock softens. Atmospheres boil away. Farther out, cold takes hold, slowing chemistry until motion itself feels reluctant. Between these extremes lies a gentle band, a region where energy arrives in moderation. This is not a place of perfection. It is a place of allowance. You breathe slowly as the idea of the habitable zone forms, not as a strict border, but as a gradient. A region where temperatures may allow liquid water to exist on a planet's surface, at least sometimes, somewhere. The phrase Goldilocks zone sounds almost playful, but the concept beneath it is deeply calm. It speaks of comfort rather than excitement. Water matters here, not because it is dramatic, but because it is patient. It flows, dissolves, transports. It carries heat gently from place to place. It allows chemistry to unfold slowly, repeatedly, without breaking. You feel how water is less an ingredient and more a medium, a quiet stage on which complexity can take its time. You imagine a planet resting within this zone. Its days may be warm, its nights cool. Clouds may gather, drift, dissolve. Rain may fall softly, not as spectacle, but as routine. Nothing about this world needs to be extraordinary to be interesting. Stability itself is the miracle. You sense how early discussions of habitability are once narrow, shaped by the familiarity of Earth. But as discoveries accumulate, the idea stretches. Stars vary in size and temperature. Smaller stars burn cooler, their habitable zones tucked close in. Larger stars blaze hotter, pushing calm regions farther out. Habitability adjusts accordingly. You feel comfort in this adaptability. It suggests the universe does not favor a single solution. A planet may orbit close to a small, dim star and still feel gentle warmth. Another may travel far around a bright one and remain temperate. Some worlds may be tidally locked, showing one face always to their star, yet still maintain regions of balance along their twilight edges. The Goldilocks calm, you realize, is not a fixed address. It is a relationship that evolves. You rest with that idea as your breathing deepens. Planets move. Stars change slowly over time. What is too hot today may cool tomorrow. What is frozen now may once have flowed. Habitability is not a moment. It is a window. This realization removes urgency. It replaces it with patience. You imagine scientists mapping these zones carefully, not to declare life, but to narrow attention. Among thousands of planets, where might conditions allow chemistry to linger rather than rush or stall? Where might complexity be given time? You feel how gentle this filtering is. No claims. No promises. Just quiet prioritization. As your thoughts soften, you consider that water does not guarantee life. Many planets may hold oceans and remain silent. But water does guarantee movement. It guarantees interaction. It allows surfaces to change, atmospheres to cycle, minerals to dissolve and reform. You picture an ocean beneath a pale sky, waves rising and falling in endless repetition. Nothing watches. Nothing records. Yet the process itself matters. Over time, repetition becomes opportunity. The Goldilocks calm is not about comfort for humans. It is about tolerance for process. You let that settle into your body, feeling how often you seek extremes, when balance is what allows you to rest. The universe, it seems, understands this deeply. As telescopes improve, more planets appear within these calm zones. Some are larger than Earth, some smaller. Some orbit red stars, some yellow, some orange. Each one adds a note to a growing chord. Habitability is not rare. It is distributed. You feel the quiet reassurance in that. Not excitement, not certainty, just possibilities spread generously. Still, many questions remain. A planet may sit in the right zone and lack an atmosphere. Another may have thick clouds that trap too much heat. Another may be battered by stellar storms. Balance depends on more than distance alone. You sense how science responds to this complexity not with frustration, but with layering. One condition at a time. Temperature, atmosphere, water, stability. Each factor considered gently, without rushing to conclusion. You imagine habitability as a long conversation between a planet and its star. Radiation arrives. The planet responds. Atmosphere thickens or thins. Water freezes or flows. Over time, patterns settle. Some planets never find calm. Others hold it briefly. A few may hold it for billions of years. That duration matters. You breathe out slowly, realizing that life, if it emerges, does not need a perfect environment. It needs a forgiving one. A place where mistakes do not end everything. Where chemistry can try again tomorrow. The Goldilocks calm is about forgiveness built into physics. You rest with this thought, feeling it ease your chest. Somewhere, beyond your sight, a planet circles its star at just the right distance. Not special in appearance. Not announcing itself. Simply existing in balance. You do not need to imagine what lies there, if anything. The calm itself is enough. As your mind drifts further towards sleep, another question forms naturally. If balance allows possibility, how might life reveal itself once it takes hold? If it remains quiet, patient, subtle, how would you know it is there at all? You let that question remain unanswered, suspended gently in your thoughts, as you move closer to the idea that life may speak not through spectacle, but through the quiet, chemical traces it leaves behind in the air it slowly, endlessly reshapes. You arrive now at a softer question, one that does not ask what life looks like, but how it behaves when no one is watching. After distance, warmth, and balance, you begin to listen for something subtler still. Not motion, not shadow, not temperature, but persistence. Life, you realize, is not loud. On Earth, life does not announce itself with banners or signals. It breathes. It reacts. It alters its surroundings slowly, unintentionally, simply by continuing to exist. Over time, these small alterations accumulate until the environment itself begins to carry a memory of what lives within it. You breathe in gently, aware that even now your own body participates in this quiet exchange. You take in oxygen. You release carbon dioxide. You do not intend to leave evidence behind, yet you do. Every living thing does. This is where biosignatures enter the story, not as declarations, but as side effects. You let the words soften in your mind. A biosignature is not proof of life. It is a hint that chemistry may be behaving in an unusual way. It is a question written in gas and light. Why is this here? Why does it remain? On a lifeless planet, chemistry tends toward rest. Reactions finish. Gases settle into stable combinations. Balance is achieved, and change slows. But life resists this stillness. It pulls energy from its environment and uses it to keep things slightly out of order. That disorder is gentle, but persistent. You imagine Earth without life. Oxygen would disappear over time, binding with rocks and metals. Methane would fade. The atmosphere would become quieter, simpler. But life keeps the air busy. It replenishes gases that should not coexist for long. It keeps the sky restless. You rest with this idea, feeling how different it is from dramatic visions of aliens or forests or oceans filled with movement. Life, here, is not seen. It is inferred. It is suspected through imbalance. Oxygen becomes an example. On its own, oxygen is reactive. It does not like to remain free. Yet Earth's atmosphere holds a great deal of it, renewed constantly by photosynthetic life. From far away, this abundance would be unusual. It would raise a question. Methane offers another whisper. It breaks down under sunlight and should vanish unless something keeps producing it. On Earth, much of that production comes from life, especially microbial life, quiet and unseen. Together, oxygen and methane form a particularly intriguing pair. They should not coexist in large amounts. And yet, here they do. Life keeps them both present, endlessly repairing the imbalance they create together. You feel the care with which scientists approach this idea. They do not assume life at the first hint of imbalance. Many non-living processes can produce similar gases. Volcanoes breathe. Rocks react with water. Planets are complex even without biology. So biosignatures are weighed, not declared. You imagine researchers layering evidence gently. One gas alone is not enough. Patterns matter. Context matters. The planet's temperature, mass, radiation environment, all of it shapes interpretation. Science moves carefully here, aware of how easily hope can overreach. You appreciate this restraint. It keeps the search honest. It keeps wonder grounded. As your breathing slows, you consider how quiet life might be elsewhere. Perhaps it never grows large. Perhaps it remains microbial, content to exist beneath surfaces or within oceans hidden under ice. Such life would still breathe, still react, still alter its environment, even if no eyes ever see it. Biosignatures do not require intelligence. They do not require complexity. They only require persistence. You find comfort in that. It means life does not need to become impressive to be meaningful. It only needs to continue. You imagine a distant planet, temperate and calm. Its atmosphere shows traces of gases that seem out of place. The signal is faint, barely above noise. Scientists debate. Instruments observe again and again. Nothing is rushed. The planet does not care. It continues its orbit, its chemistry cycling quietly. You feel how this method of searching respects the nature of life itself. It does not demand spectacle. It listens for whispers. It accepts that life may be shy, cautious, even fragile. You rest in that gentleness, sensing how it mirrors your own quiet moments. The times when you exist without performing, without announcing, simply breathing and being. Life, you realize, does not need an audience. As technology improves, the ability to detect these faint signatures grows. Telescopes sharpen their senses. Data accumulates. Patterns emerge slowly, like shapes forming in mist. Still, certainty remains rare. And that is acceptable. Science does not promise answers on demand. It promises attention. You imagine future observations revealing atmospheres that feel strangely busy. Gases rising and falling in rhythms that chemistry alone struggles to explain. Nothing definitive. Just enough to keep curiosity awake. You feel how even the possibility of such detection reshapes perspective. Life no longer feels like a singular event tied only to Earth's history. It feels like a process the universe may attempt wherever conditions allow patience. This does not make life common or rare. It makes it contextual. You breathe out slowly, letting go of the need for conclusions. This chapter is not about finding life. It is about learning how life hides. It hides in plain sight. In air. In imbalance. In persistence against settling. You sense how different this is from searching for voices or signals. No messages are sent. No intent is required. Life leaves traces simply by continuing to exist, the way a river reshapes its banks without trying. As your body relaxes further, you think about how fragile these signals can be. A planet may host life for a time, then lose it. The atmosphere may remember for a while, then forget. Timing matters. Observation matters. You are listening to a universe that does not wait for you. And yet, you are here now, alive at a moment when such listening is possible. When the tools exist to hear whispers carried across light years. When patience has become powerful. The question that lingers is not whether life is loud enough to find. It is whether you are quiet enough to hear it. You let that question settle into stillness, knowing the next step in this journey will stretch your imagination further. You move now into stranger territory, where comfort loosens its grip and expectation gently dissolves. After calm zones and subtle signals, the universe invites you to look at worlds that seem, at first, unreasonable. Planets that should not be there. Planets that challenge every quiet rule you thought you understood. You breathe slowly, allowing surprise to exist without tension. Early discoveries already hint at this strangeness. Massive planets orbit perilously close to their stars, their atmospheres bloated by heat, their skies glowing under relentless radiation. These hot giants were never predicted. They were not supposed to form there, let alone remain. And yet, there they are, circling faithfully, defying tidy models. You feel how science responds not with denial, but with adjustment. The universe does not apologize for being messy. It simply continues. You imagine a planet so close to its star that a year lasts only days. Its surface may be molten. Winds scream endlessly. Nothing about it feels gentle. And yet, it exists, stable enough to persist for billions of orbits. Existence, you realize, does not require comfort. You drift further, encountering worlds with densities that puzzle understanding. Planets lighter than air, swollen and fragile, orbiting stars that threaten to strip them bare. Others are dense and compact, holding mass with quiet determination. Each one rewrites assumptions about what is possible. You feel curiosity replace certainty. This is not failure of knowledge. It is expansion. Some planets orbit stars long past their youthful calm. Others circle binary stars, moving through shifting light like dancers learning new steps every day. Some worlds tilt wildly, seasons swinging to extremes that would feel catastrophic to you. And yet, the planet remains. You begin to sense a deeper pattern. Nature does not aim for habitability. It aims for persistence. If a configuration can last, even barely, it is allowed. This realization softens your earlier ideas of life. Perhaps life does not wait for ideal conditions. Perhaps it adapts, shelters, retreats, reshapes itself to fit narrow margins. On Earth, life survives in boiling vents, frozen ice, acidic pools, and crushing depths. Why would the universe be less inventive elsewhere? You breathe out gently, letting go of the idea that life must resemble comfort. You imagine a world tidally locked to its star, one side forever bathed in light, the other in endless night. Between them lies a narrow band of twilight, neither burning nor frozen. Winds may rush endlessly from day to night, carrying heat and chemistry. It is not peaceful, but it is stable. Could life exist there? The question feels quieter now, less demanding. You pass planets orbiting stars that flare unpredictably, bathing their surfaces in bursts of radiation. Such environments once seemed hostile beyond hope. Yet models suggest atmospheres could shield surfaces, oceans could absorb energy, life could retreat underground. Survival does not require stillness. It requires strategy. You feel how each strange world expands the definition of possibility. Habitability stretches. Expectations loosen. The universe refuses to be narrow. This chapter teaches humility. Not everything that seems impossible is. Not everything unfamiliar is hostile. The cosmos is older and more patient than any single model. You rest with this thought, sensing how it mirrors your own life. Times that feel unlivable often reveal hidden adaptability. Balance does not always look gentle. Sometimes it looks strange. As discoveries accumulate, scientists stop asking where life should exist. They begin asking where it could persist. The question shifts from perfection to endurance. You imagine life as something stubborn rather than delicate. Quietly resilient. Willing to exist wherever energy flows, however unevenly. Not heroic. Just persistent. This does not mean life is everywhere. It means absence cannot be assumed. You feel comfort in that restraint. Wonder tempered by caution. Curiosity held gently. As your breathing slows further, you sense the narrative widening. The search for life is no longer confined to familiar worlds. It extends to oceans beneath ice, atmospheres beneath clouds, chemistry beneath surfaces. The universe feels layered, not binary. Some worlds should not exist. Yet they do. And because they do, your imagination must remain flexible. You feel yourself drifting deeper into calm, carrying this expanded sense of possibility with you. Life, if it appears, may not announce itself loudly. It may cling to margins, thrive in gradients, persist quietly in places you would never think to look. And so the journey continues, guided not by certainty, but by openness. By new ways of seeing rather than stricter rules. As your thoughts grow heavier and softer, you sense the next shift approaching. If strange worlds challenge expectation, new tools must challenge perception. Seeing will not be enough. Listening must deepen. Somewhere ahead, instruments are learning to hear the universe in new ways, extending your senses beyond vision alone. You rest with that unfinished thought, allowing curiosity to dim gently, as telescopes prepare to listen with eyes that no longer rely solely on light, but on silence itself. You arrive at a quiet turning point, where effort shifts from imagination to refinement. After worlds that defy expectation, you sense the need for new ways of noticing. The universe has not changed. You have. Your tools have learned to listen more carefully, to see without insisting on brightness, to hear without demanding sound. You breathe slowly and picture a telescope not as a towering machine, but as a calm extension of attention. It does not rush. It does not guess. It waits. For centuries, astronomy depends on visible light, the narrow slice of reality your eyes understand. Stars glow. Planets reflect. Darkness separates. But much of the universe does not announce itself in this familiar language. Heat glows softly in infrared. Molecules speak in wavelengths you never see. Cold worlds whisper rather than shine. Listening with new eyes means accepting that vision is broader than sight. You imagine infrared light as warmth rather than color. It carries information about temperature, movement, and chemistry. Planets emit it gently, especially those hidden from direct view. In infrared, the glare of stars softens, and planets step forward from concealment. This shift feels profound but calm. Nothing dramatic changes in the sky itself. Only your ability to notice deepens. You feel the quiet power of space-based telescopes, lifted above Earth's restless atmosphere. No clouds blur their vision. No air distorts incoming light. In space, silence becomes an ally. Precision sharpens. Faint signals survive the journey intact. You rest with the idea that silence is not emptiness. It is clarity. Adaptive optics on Earth-bound telescopes add another layer of listening. Mirrors adjust constantly, correcting for turbulence in real time. Stars stop twinkling. Images steady. The universe grows calmer when you compensate for your own movement. This feels almost philosophical. To understand the cosmos, you must first correct for yourself. You imagine scientists working late into the night, not gazing upward, but studying streams of data. Lines, curves, subtle shifts. Nothing looks like a planet. Everything feels like a clue. Discovery happens in patience, not spectacle. You sense how these tools do not replace curiosity. They refine it. They allow questions to become more precise. Instead of asking, "Is there a planet?" you ask, "What kind of planet is this?" Instead of wondering whether atmospheres exist, you begin to wonder what they contain. Listening with new eyes is about narrowing uncertainty gently. You picture coronagraphs and starshades, technologies designed to block starlight deliberately. This feels counterintuitive at first. To see more, you hide the brightest thing. With the star dimmed, planets emerge from glare like quiet companions stepping out of shadow. This is not force. It is finesse. You feel admiration for this approach. Rather than overpowering the universe, you learn how to step aside, how to let subtle things appear. Darkness becomes a tool, not an absence. You breathe in, feeling how this mirrors rest itself. When noise fades, detail returns. Spectroscopy grows more refined too, separating light into finer and finer threads. Molecules speak more clearly. Patterns sharpen. Atmospheres that once hinted now begin to describe themselves more fully. You sense how each technological advance is guided by humility. Engineers do not assume what they will find. They prepare to listen better, knowing the universe will answer in its own way. You imagine future telescopes drifting far from Earth, carrying mirrors vast and precise. They will watch planets directly, tracing their orbits, measuring their light, sensing their heat. Not rushing toward conclusions. Just observing. You feel how this closeness is not physical, but perceptual. The universe feels nearer because your attention reaches further. As your breathing slows, you consider the quiet partnership between human imagination and machinery. Humans ask the questions. Machines gather the whispers. Together, they translate silence into understanding. This is not cold or mechanical. It is deeply intimate. Every measurement is an act of trust. Trust that light tells the truth. Trust that patterns matter. Trust that patience is rewarded. You rest in that trust. Listening with new eyes also reveals limits. Some planets remain beyond reach. Some atmospheres too faint. Some signals too tangled. Science does not conquer. It negotiates. It accepts partial answers and waits for better moments. You feel comfort in this honesty. Knowing everything is not required to know something. As instruments grow quieter and sharper, the search for life becomes less speculative and more attentive. Not because answers arrive, but because questions become better formed. What gases coexist? How stable are they? What processes could maintain them? Listening replaces guessing. You imagine standing beneath the night sky again, now aware that above you orbit not only stars and planets, but ideas carefully tested, patiently refined. The universe feels neither hostile nor welcoming. It feels responsive. You feel yourself sinking deeper into rest, buoyed by the idea that understanding does not require urgency. The cosmos unfolds at a pace that rewards those willing to match it. New eyes do not demand revelation. They invite relationship. As your thoughts soften, another inward turn approaches. If the universe grows clearer through better listening, something else begins to shift as well. The act of discovery starts to reshape how you see yourself. You let that realization hover gently, unfinished. The instruments continue their quiet work. The data continues to arrive. And somewhere within you, a deeper question begins to form about meaning, connection, and what it changes when you realize you are part of a much larger conversation still unfolding. You rest now at a quieter crossroads, where the journey outward begins to fold gently back in on itself. After tools, techniques, and distant worlds, something subtle shifts. The question is no longer only about planets or stars or life elsewhere. It begins to include you. You breathe slowly, feeling how knowledge changes not just what you see, but how you belong. For a long time, the search for life beyond Earth feels like a question aimed outward, as if the universe is something separate, something to be examined from a distance. But gradually, almost without noticing, the direction reverses. Each discovery reflects inward. Each new world becomes a mirror. You feel how learning that planets are common alters your sense of rarity. Earth is no longer a singular miracle balanced against emptiness. It is part of a pattern. Still precious. Still fragile. But no longer alone in its category. This realization does not shrink you. It expands you. You imagine Earth from far away, a small blue presence orbiting an ordinary star. From that distance, there are no borders, no names, no stories visible. Just atmosphere, water, light, and motion. Everything you are, everything you know, wrapped in a thin layer of air and warmth. You feel tenderness toward that image. Not pride. Not insignificance. Just care. The search for life elsewhere invites humility. If life can arise in many places, then it is not a reward reserved for uniqueness. It is a process the universe may repeat wherever conditions allow patience. This does not make your existence meaningless. It makes it shared. You rest with that thought, feeling its quiet comfort. You notice how the question of life elsewhere changes how you think about intelligence, culture, and importance. If life exists beyond Earth, then humanity is not the sole witness to the universe. If it does not, then the responsibility of witnessing becomes heavier. Either way, the meaning deepens. You breathe out slowly, letting go of the need for outcome. Wonder, you realize, does not depend on answers. It depends on participation. You think about how long humans have asked these questions. Long before telescopes, long before science, people look up and feel curiosity mixed with longing. The search for life elsewhere is not a modern obsession. It is an ancient one, refined by tools but rooted in the same quiet urge to understand where you fit. You feel connected across time now. To those who watch the sky with no expectation of reply. To those who map stars by hand. To those who imagine worlds they will never see. Discovery does not separate you from them. It continues their wandering. You consider how even the absence of detected life would speak volumes. It would tell a story about rarity, about fragility, about how carefully conditions must align. That story would not diminish Earth. It would elevate it. And if life is found quietly, indirectly, through chemistry and light, it would not steal Earth's meaning either. It would contextualize it. It would place you within a living universe rather than beside one. You feel how both outcomes lead to responsibility. Care for your world. Care for each other. Care for the only example of life you know for certain exists. The search outward becomes a lesson inward. You notice how this knowledge changes your sense of solitude. Being alone in the universe is not the same as being lonely. And sharing the universe with other life does not guarantee connection. Meaning is not dictated by numbers. It is shaped by attention. You feel calmer now, grounded in that nuance. The universe does not owe you company. It does not owe you answers. And yet, it allows you to ask. It allows you to listen. It allows you to be curious. That permission feels like belonging. You imagine future generations continuing this search, refining methods, asking better questions. You may never know the outcome. And that is fine. Your role is not to finish the story. It is to participate in its telling. You rest with this acceptance, feeling how it softens urgency. The question of you is not, are you special? It is, are you attentive? Are you willing to care for what you know exists, while remaining open to what you do not yet understand? You breathe gently, sensing how small actions matter within large contexts. How quiet curiosity can shape centuries. How patience becomes legacy. As your thoughts slow further, you feel gratitude for uncertainty. Certainty closes doors. Uncertainty keeps them open. You let the universe remain unresolved around you, vast and patient. You are part of it, not separate from it. Your atoms were once elsewhere. Your thoughts are now here. Your questions ripple outward. And somewhere, perhaps, other questions ripple too. You do not need to imagine answers to feel connected. The act of wondering is enough. As rest deepens, you sense the journey nearing its quiet edge. After all the searching, listening, and reflecting, there is one final posture left to explore. Not seeking, not analyzing, but waiting. You allow that final thought to settle softly in your mind, knowing that the universe does not rush conclusions. It speaks slowly, in its own time. And so you drift towards stillness, ready to rest in the space between question and answer, where listening continues, and patience becomes its own kind of understanding. You reach now a place of stillness, the horizon where observation meets reflection. After long journeys through shadows, atmospheres, balance, and curiosity, you find yourself resting at the edge of what is known. Here, the universe no longer needs to reveal new wonders immediately. You only need to wait. You breathe slowly, letting the rhythm of your heart sync with the unhurried pace of cosmic time. Years, decades, even centuries may pass before an answer arrives from distant light years. Yet, the wait itself is not empty. It is filled with listening, anticipation, and awareness. Science, you realize, is patient. It does not demand. It does not interrupt. It leans in gently, observing, measuring, considering. Here, at the threshold, it pauses not because it has failed, but because respect for the unknown demands it. Some mysteries cannot be hurried. They require humility, attention, and trust. You imagine starlight traveling endlessly, carrying the whispers of distant worlds, the faint exhalations of alien atmospheres. Every photon is a messenger, crossing unimaginable distances to reach you, carrying answers you cannot yet fully interpret. The messages exist. They are already on their way. You rest in that knowledge. You do not need to know everything now. There is comfort in the idea that the universe itself participates in the unfolding of discovery, that timing is part of the design. Patience is woven into the cosmos as surely as gravity or light. Your mind softens, settling into the idea that waiting is active. It is not absence. It is attention extended over time. It is watching without rushing, listening without interrupting. Even in the silence, learning continues. You sense how this mirrors life itself. Not every question receives immediate resolution. Some truths reveal themselves only with reflection, only with observation stretched across days, years, or lifetimes. Curiosity becomes a gentle companion rather than a demanding master. You do not chase answers, you create space for them to arrive. You feel the intimacy of the unknown. Mystery is no longer frustrating. It is restorative. It invites reflection, imagination, and wonder. You feel gratitude for this quiet partnership with the universe, for the chance to experience patience on a cosmic scale. As you drift deeper, you reflect on the journey itself. Shadows that pass like breaths, atmospheres carrying stories, the Goldilocks calm, biosignatures, worlds that should not exist, and the instruments that extend your senses, all of it converges here, at this edge. Knowledge has grown, yet questions remain. And this is exactly as it should be. You imagine distant scientists, researchers, and explorers, all waiting in different ways. Some analyze data that arrived years ago. Others peer through instruments just launched. They share the same quiet anticipation that you now feel. The universe requires time, but it responds to attention. You feel connected, not only to the cosmos, but to every mind that has ever waited in curiosity. Your thoughts merge gently with theirs, forming a chain of inquiry that stretches across time and space. Each question asked, each observation made, each patient pause, these become part of the ongoing conversation between humanity and the stars. You consider the limits of knowledge. Perhaps some answers will arrive too late for you to witness, hidden in distant light that takes centuries to reach Earth. Perhaps other answers will remain elusive forever, beyond instruments, beyond imagination. And yet, none of this diminishes the beauty of the search. You breathe more slowly, feeling the weight of awe settle over you like a soft blanket. Wonder is not diminished by delay. It is enhanced by patience, by the realization that the universe is expansive, eternal, and enduring. Your role is not to conquer, but to participate, to observe, to question, and to allow answers to come in their own time. You imagine that, somewhere, a small flicker of discovery is occurring. A new exoplanet is being measured, a biosignature analyzed, a faint atmosphere detected. You will not see it yet, perhaps not in your lifetime. But it exists. The universe has already acted, and the message is traveling toward you, silently and faithfully. You let this thought settle, feeling calmness deepen. The cosmos, you realize, is not in a hurry. Neither should you be. Your mind, body, and curiosity are in synchrony with the slow unfolding of discovery. You feel the quiet expansion of awareness. The universe is vast, patient, and generous. It provides questions more readily than answers. And in the waiting, you discover a new kind of intimacy, not with distant worlds, but with the act of seeking itself. Every planet detected, every atmosphere measured, every faint signal analyzed. All of these are testaments to patience and attention. They remind you that existence is a dialogue, not a monologue. Knowledge is not imposed. It is received. And you, listening, are part of the reception. Your breathing becomes rhythmic, matching the cadence of orbiting planets, passing shadows, and light that travels for eons. The universe seems to sway gently, not with force, but with quiet motion, in step with your awareness. You think of all the discoveries yet to come, all the answers still traveling through space. They are inevitable. Not because they must be, but because the universe continues to exist, continue to speak, continue to offer knowledge to those who pay attention. You rest fully in that thought. Waiting is no longer passive. It is a shared moment between observer and observed. A mutual acknowledgement that patience is a form of understanding. Your eyelids feel heavy. The mind, so used to grasping and analyzing, begins to loosen its hold. Curiosity does not vanish, it drifts softly, like a leaf carried on a gentle current. Each thought of distant worlds, strange planets, and quiet life fades into a rhythm of acceptance. You feel gratitude for the journey, for the chapters of discovery that have guided you here. You sense that, even as sleep approaches, learning continues, not in the mind alone, but in your very being. You have absorbed the patience of the universe, the subtleties of observation, and the humility of not knowing. And as your body and mind sink deeper into rest, the final reflection forms: the universe is speaking. It always has been. Its messages travel slowly, and your attention receives them in time. Answers will come. Perhaps today, perhaps centuries from now. But already, the universe has begun. Already, the messages are on their way. You drift into sleep, suspended between question and answer, enveloped in calm certainty that the cosmos continues to whisper, and that you are here, listening.